Hey BookTube, I'm here today to film my Victober TBR. For those of you who don't know, Victober is a month-long reading event that occurs in the month of October, where the focus is to read solely Victorian literature. And so this is literature that is published during the time of Queen Victoria's reign. I'm not exactly certain on the years that would encompass, but during the time that Queen Victoria was in power, and then any literature that comes from Britain, part of Ireland, and then also Wales. So this doesn't include like America or France or any place like that. It's centered mostly around the British area, for lack of a better way of putting it. Anyway, and Victober is hosted by several lovely people here on BookTube. There's Katie from Books and Things, Lucy from Lucy the Reader, and Kate from Kate How. And then there's usually Ange from Beyond the Pages, but she is unable to host this year. So this year there's just 3 hosts, Katie, Kate, and Lucy. And every year there are challenges that the hosts decide on that you can follow if you wish. You don't have to. And then there's always a group read along. And so I'm going to do most of the challenges, I hope. I don't know if I'll do all of them. And I'm not sure I'm going to do the group read along, but we'll get to that in a minute. So today I want to go through with you the books I'm going to do for the challenges that I plan to participate in, and then some other books that I would like to get to, if at all possible, over the course of this month-long Victober event. And then there is one book that I might read. I have it on order, but it hasn't gotten here yet, so it just depends on my mood once we get into the month of October. So I wanted to talk first of all about Katie's challenge, which is to read a book that equates to your favorite modern genre. So read a Victorian book that equates to your favorite modern genre. So if your favorite modern genre, for instance, is fantasy, then read a Victorian novel that was fantasy in nature, right? Or if your favorite modern genre is historical fiction, then read a Victorian novel that is historical fiction. So for this, I have 2 options. Some of my favorite genres are both fantasy and historical fiction. And for historical fiction, I was thinking of possibly reading Lorna Doone. I have this older edition of it that I bought at my local bookstore before it closed. And it's been sitting on my shelves for several years, so I would really like to get to this. Lorna Doone is by R.D. Blackmore. And so I might read this. This is actually a strong contender because of the fact that I've had it for a while. Or in terms of fantasy, the book I have on order that I haven't received yet is The Witches of Scotland by Eliza Linton. So this would be a Victorian fantasy book that I could read. But I'm really hoping that I get to this one. As much as The Witches of Scotland sounds like a fun time, I want to get to Lorna Doone because, like I said, I've had it the longest. And so it would be nice to get this off of my TBR. So Lorna Doone is probably going to be the book that I ultimately concentrate on for Katie's challenge. And then Lucy's challenge is to read a Victorian diary or collection of letters. And I did some searching online to see about getting a collection of letters or diary or something from Dickens, but they were pricey, and so I decided I'm going to cheat a little bit with this one, and instead I'm going to read a nonfiction book that I just got recently that is called Becoming Dickens, The Invention of a Novelist by Robert Douglas-Fairhurst. And so this is about Dickens and his writing and how he ultimately became the novelist that that he is now known for. And so I'm going to cheat and read this instead of a collection of letters or a diary, because Dickens is my favorite Victorian author, and so I would like to read something from him rather than other authors. And since I couldn't find a collection of letters or a diary that was within my price range, I figured I would just read this instead. So I'm cheating a little bit, but that's okay. Alright, and then we have Kate's challenge, which is to read a new-to-you book and or short story by a favorite Victorian novelist. Well, as I just said, my favorite Victorian novelist is Charles Dickens, and so the book I'm going to read for this is Little Dorrit, and this is one of Charles Dickens' books I haven't yet read. It's been sitting on my shelves for a while now, and so I would like to read this. It's his satire on poverty, riches, and imprisonment. The story of Arthur Clenman, a man whose kindly interest in Amy Dorrit, his mother seamstress, assures him nothing but trouble. And so, yeah, this is this one and Lorna Doone, in terms of novels, are two of my big focuses for Victober, because they've both been on my to-be-read pile for a long time, and I really would like to read all of Dickens' work. I'm getting there, but I'm not there yet, and so this would take another book off of my Dickens to-be-read list. So that's what I'm going to read for Kate's challenge. And then they have a general reader challenge, which is read a Victorian book from a previous TBR that you didn't get to, or one you have been meaning to read for ages. And for this, I'm going to read Phineas, Phin by Anthony Trollope. I read the first novel in the Palliser series that this is part of, Can You Forgive Her, a while back. Phineas, Phin is the second novel, and so I would like to continue on with this series. Trollope is quickly becoming one of my favorite Victorian authors, although he will not beat Dickens by any means. But I want to get to this, so I'm hoping to read this for the Reader's Challenge. And so this is about a handsome Irishman, Phineas Phin, who is equally successful at scaling the political ladder and gaining the affection of influential women. As he makes his precarious way in Parliament, he discovers how far principles must be sacrificed to the common cause and how essential money is to political progress. So, yeah, this is my read for the Reader's Challenge. And then the last challenge is just to read a Victorian book while wearing something Victorian or Victorian-esque. I don't know if I'm actually going to do this or not, because I don't really have anything, and I'm not sure I want to buy something just for that challenge. So we'll see what happens there. And then the group read is Shirley by Charlotte Bronte. I'm not super interested in reading Shirley. I don't know if I will or not. If I could get a copy from my library, a hard copy, I would probably read it. But my library doesn't have a copy, so I don't know. I probably won't be participating in the group read purely because I'm just not that interested in reading Shirley. And I have several other books here. I have 3 others that I would like to read in Victober that don't match with any of the challenges. And so one of those is actually a children's book that I would like to read, and that is The Little Lame Prince by Dinah Miller Craik. And this is a book that I'm fairly certain my mother read to me when I was a kid, and so I would really like to get to this. So we'll see if I do or not. Because I want to see if it's the story I remember it being. I'm pretty sure that it is, but this is one that I would like to get to. Like I said, it was set during, or it was written by a Victorian author. So, yeah, The Little Lame Prince. I would also like to try to get to Aurora, Leigh by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And this is a novel told in verse. Um, and it's the foremost example of the mid 19th century contemporary life. So I would like to get to this if at all possible. I might even start this before Victober because I don't know, I'm interested in it, and I've been reading Shakespeare for ShakeTube, so I'm kind of in the whole like reading verse mood. So I might get to this sooner, but if not, I would like to get to it during Victober. And then the last book I have is another nonfiction book that is about Victorians, and that is Victorians Undone by Kathryn Hughes, Tales of the Flesh in the Age of Decorum. And so this is where British historian Kathryn Hughes follows 5 iconic figures of the 19th century as they encounter the world not through their imaginations or intellects, but through their bodies, or rather through their body parts. And so she looks at these 5 Victorians through specific body parts. So like there's George Eliot's hand, Charles Darwin's beard, so on and so forth. So I think this will be really interesting, and this is another book that I've had on my shelves for a while and still haven't read. So I would like to get to this one as well. And what better time to do that than during Victober? Even though it wasn't written during Victober, or even though it wasn't written during Victorian times, it is still a book that focuses on people who were alive during the Victorian era. So, yeah. So those are the books that I would like to get to during Victober. Of course, my main concentrations really are Lorna Doone, Little Dorrit, and Phineas Phin. In terms of novels anyway, we'll see what kind of progress I make, but yeah, these are the 3 that I would really like to get to, hopefully. We will see what happens once October gets here. Anyway, let me know down in the comments field if you are participating in Victober. Also let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or if you are planning on reading any of these for Victober, and I will talk to you again soon. Thanks, BookTube.